Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're to episode 2 of MementoMori, which was supposed to be a quick look, but went 2 hours and 45 minutes, and yeah, at that point, that is no longer quick, and definitely I should have broken it up into more than one episode. Although I still don't know if, really, after this whole time, what is this? This is just a account link password? Okay. Yeah, I don't know if this was still anything that I can really do anything with as a content creator. The problem here is the music is possibly too good. So if I was going to try to use the music as like background music in a music player in streaming mode, assuming that doesn't get content ID or copyright claimed, I'm still not sure it works for like my live streams because the music may be too good and it may be distracting overall. So this may very well be episode 2 of 2. I'm also running into those network error pop-ups still.
Oh, my lord. Is this room too cold for you?
So when you log in, you get a random one of your favorite girls and one of their songs. And here's your favorite girls, I've said. And you can just click it to go here. So if you didn't watch the first episode, you're going to be incredibly lost, but this is basically what the game is at this point. But there's still a lot to be done. Like, I need to get up to several different chapters in the story player mode. 520 is your ultimate desire. And at the end of the last episode, I'd pretty much done as much as I could. Not everything, obviously. Here is an awaken I can do. And that's that as much as I can do there. And possibly I have enough to level up this character a little bit more. Yes, I could throw more equipment to just get the red dots to go away and better equipment, but it's frankly going to be a waste of time as we're trying to speed boost this whole experience. But yeah, there's all that smelting to get one S tier level 1 glove. I do have some actual keys to open these, but you're never going to have enough keys. Opening these gives you sometimes better chests and sometimes rewards. So that's the bronze. Silver just gave me some level up water. Gold just gives me more level up water. But even now, early in the game, you can see you have too many of these and there's just no sell button. There's no way to get rid of them. So, the only thing I can really do to start with to change my fate is to do Prayer of the Cursed, which we have tickets for. And yeah, there's no reason to change your wish list at the moment, because the only way you could expand this wish list is if you got more of the limited rare characters, and we don't have any of the limited rare characters, so we just do this. Now, notice that you have a lot of normal characters in brown. These are what you absolutely do not want to see.
What? No way! You came to see me? Wow, you surprised me. No one ever comes here. I know this is a bit sudden, but would you like to be my apprentice?
Merlin is another witch anime girl who A is showing a decent amount of skin and B is older than she looks. She's a pretty good character, but she's also a staple character. She's super rare, but if you're not limited rare, you kind of don't matter in this game. She's a defender, so she can synergize with your strongest attacker and start down the process of actually having a strategy in your team building versus just randomly putting your best characters together. But yeah, and as you draw, you will eventually get a bonus reward, but the bonus reward here is just a level 5 mystery rune or level 3 on the 50th pull, which you're going to constantly do at least one pull per day in that. Notice though that the invoke has moved things around now. So Potpourri, the new limited character that's out brand new, is first, whereas the Prayer for the Cursed has been moved down to its new permanent position, which is here. Don't have any friendship points because I haven't friended anybody. Don't have any of these points, so I can't do anything there. So we will draw another 10 since we can. And this is a really bad pull in that you're only getting rares, but we're so early in the game we are still getting new characters too. So first thing you do is just see if we can awaken and reduce it. What you're gonna find out is you have these limitations on the number of characters you can have that go up as you level up, but it can get tight at times as far as the number of roster slots. You're also going to have limitations when you can get to level link on the number of characters you can level link. So that is another consideration. So now we have a few more characters, and you can see how this list is going to go down. This being played on PC instead of Android phone is not really changing the experience much, because the icons aren't really getting smaller and taking up less space. It all looks exactly the same to me. As far as invoking, we have no more tickets, so it would be 300, and it would be incredibly wasteful to do that. So the thought here would be to take this and see if we can do something with this. Take this and go ahead and claim this to go up another level, and then see if we can move our levels up higher. So we have real strategy now, where we want Merlin to be on either the left or right, and with that we put our best attacker, which is probably this one there. And that is probably the best we can do. And that may not be good enough. So, like, Merlin will try to put a buff.
Sorry, but we need to keep moving forward.
If she can even make it to the third turn, she'll put a buff on the character next to her, either to the left or right of her. So if you put her on the edge, she'll always put a buff on this character that will, let's see, is there another way to bring up these characters? No, because like right clicking again, because this is a mobile phone game, no right clicking to bring up things. And yeah, I'm not gonna spend any extra time here trying to, yeah, this is gonna become a real problem. I don't have any idea why this is happening. Like, it shouldn't be, as far as the network error issue.
Oh, my lord. Is this room too cold for you?
You can, by the way, select these later and change them back if you want. You just won't get the reward a second time.
Will not let anyone get hurt ever again.
And I guess it is also a case that I'm assuming Merlin has the skills that she'll have when she gets at level 41, which is might very well wrong. So let us push forward as fast as possible. This is the actual gameplay that you actually control the game at, but this is mostly an idle RPG game designed to come in and just do the daily quests. Now this is a sub-boss battle, so you're not fighting a Witch of Queelof, or Queefa, however they pronounced it. You're just fighting stronger characters,
I suppose this is all safe.
which we can try multiple times, but we may struggle. So now we're into the next chapter. Not the next country, but the next chapter. It's visually interesting that the worlds are floating above each other and are just broken, and it just speaks to the massive level of devastation that the story is telling. But it's not actually explained as to how that could possibly be the case, that parts of the entire planet would be floating above the other parts. Of course, you can always chalk everything up to magic, which that works pretty well. You never see secondary characters really in this game. If you're going to get any story, it is going to be the story of a witch collectible character that you will be able to collect. They put all of their effort into designing the characters and their backstory.
Our enemies will keep getting stronger from this point on. So, let's join forces with as many allies as we can.
So I'm probably not keeping this save file, but let's go ahead and join a guild anyways. When you join a guild, there is guild battles, which honestly you don't end up engaging with too much unless you are in the most active guild on that specific world, that specific server for that specific region. And as such, you also don't engage with grand battles, which I believe only happen on a rare occasion. But on a daily case, you will do guild raids, and that'll get you a little bit more resources, which will get you a little bit further in the game. And that's more of an individual action that's only available to guild members. And on a rare occasion, you will do guild trees, which that too is very much a single player experience. All of this is really single player. There really isn't a lot of communication and coordination that happens in guilds. So you can change your settings to say, do you want to receive invitations? Are you interested? No. You can also set what level the guild level wants to be and what the total guild battle points should be in case you're trying to find a fairly strong guild. Also, you can set, do you want to be involved with chatting or guild battles or events, which is actually pretty nice settings when looking for guild invitations. So here you have a unspecific level 1 open all guild, so joining that we can do. Although I will warn that if it has Asian letters as its name, it's probably going to be a bunch of Asian players who might be awake at different times and be upset that you're not awake at the same time, or that might have just communication problems. But for sake of an example, we'll join. Immediately on joining, we get some rewards. But yeah, we can show the guild battle.
It's overflowing with incredible amounts of energy here. Looks like it's a special place where we can obtain power from the Tree of Life.
They mention the Tree of Life a lot in this game. You don't
But
actually see it.
it appears that other guilds are also making their way here.
Okay.
Only the most superior of guilds can come. Hence why everyone looks so strong. But that doesn't mean we've been outmatched. It's time to show just how strong we really are.
Notice again how the tutorial in this game is only showing up
Let's launch attacks
after
on
you
bases
click
and
on
capture
something.
them.
So
We
you
can
have to
earn
be
rewards
curious,
based on how
otherwise
many we've captured.
if you just never click on it, you'll never get the tutorial.
Bases are comprised of churches, castles, and temples. We'll get the best rewards from the temple at the center of the map.
So, yeah. You try to capture churches, castles, and then temples.
Guess this is the temple we need to set our sights on.
Hmm.
Go ahead and tap base to see more information about it.
So, once the war phase begins, siege. Take control of the rival base. Tap the siege button. Notice we didn't see a siege button. Select your party, and then you siege. During the war phase, which is apparently done maybe on a daily basis. I didn't realize this. At 8:45 to 9:30 in the evening, you can declare attacks. That's probably why I never see any of this, is because I'm not playing at that time. Again, it's weird this game has like specific hours it wants you to play for a idle game, for a game where really you should be able to log in, do your dailies at any point, and then log out in less than 40 minutes. You can also defend any base your guild is captured by placing your characters. Your characters are frankly going to have to be very high level for any of this to actually work, because this is server-wide combat territory control. Battles put all characters into dynamic wars of dominance, and then you obtain rewards, which I don't even know what this reward is. I haven't ever seen it. So yeah. Here we have a top player at level 207 on the newest server, which is pretty high, with, let's see, but defending that. And then you could also survey. So yeah, this is an element that weirdly I think is something that they added, but if Bank of Innovation really was given a choice to redo MementoMori, I think they probably should have left this on the cutting room floor. You can see how there's a decent number of buildings already here owned by Rosary, which that's not a made-up guild or anything, it's just one of the top guilds. You also have Polaris and Lacrimosa taking up a significant amount of the guilds of the area, whereas the guild I just joined would be here. Guilds have XP levels too. Grand battle's not happening, so we can't see that. Guild tree is not happening, we can't see that. Members here, we can see this leader of the guild called Master, which is at rank 60 and has fairly low battle power at 2 million versus this guy at 62, which has 14 million in contrast. And then there is an event going on right now, so you have
where rampant negative emotions gather. Souls who have lost their way join together, taking the form of a witch who has lost control of her powers.
So they're telling more backstory than you really need.
The more you attack, the more souls you can free. Even one person can make a difference, so please lend some help.
So effectively this is a 10-turn world boss character where you're just trying to do the most amount of damage to this one enemy possible to get as much bonus, and you cannot really kill the enemy. Now, I'm not sure why this says this much damage has already been done. I guess this is probably what the guild has already done, is that much. You can see that there's some world rewards for this event, which is the good stuff. It is summoning more characters, which with a brand new account, summoning more characters is absolutely what you want. The gold ones in particular are very good. This is just the event currency that itself also is very good. So for this world, they've done over 890 billion damage already to this boss as an event. So numbers get really high and ridiculous, but you get nice rewards here too. The premium currency gems in sacks of 10, 30, or 100. Some more shards of the witch's shards for super rares and rares. And then the rest of the stuff is not really that important, but it's always nice to get some more of it. So what you do is you challenge her. And in this case, your strategy is a little bit different. You wouldn't want to play Merlin, because Merlin is going to be a defender. This is not going to attack until the 10th turn regardless. So what you want is the biggest amount of attack you can possibly get, which putting in this instead actually adds to defense, and putting this in doesn't help. So yeah, you just do that.
I'll do my best.
So there's a lot of effects on them. As damage is taken increases, damage dealt increases.
Victory is ours. But you mustn't let this get to your head, my lord.
So, yeah. I might have misspoke there. I thought it didn't attack until the 10th turn, but I guess I'm wrong. That went faster than that. But yeah. It does attack, and it did kill my team there. And I'm getting only one chest of reward, which is giving me very little rewards of the possible rewards there. So yeah, brand new character, very easy, very low. Same thing, except for Sonya is just always available, and Sonya is a character that is kind of unique in the game in that she shows up here first, and you really don't see her anywhere else. You don't run into her, I think, in the main quest story, which, yeah, the idea of introducing more of the gacha girls, the anime waifus, whatever you want to call them, through other sub menus and sub games is interesting, but it also highlights still a weird issue in that this game has a lot of strategy and a lot of sub menus. It is definitely not just an idle clicker game where you're going to just see a cookie getting clicked for hours and hours. Time clickers is an example of a game like that, where you literally just set it and forget it and maybe come back once a day to make some changes. That's still locked too. I don't even know what that is. So same thing, same team. We could take what would give us the biggest numbers here and see if maybe that helps. I wouldn't be surprised if we do 2, 3, maybe even 5 or 6 boxes on this character, because this character is just going to be a lot easier. And you can see the effects on this character are not anywhere as much.
But you mustn't let this get to your head, my lord.
So that gives us a little bit more reward, particularly this gold holy fragment, which is rather hard to collect. Eventually, we'll be able to reap and not just have to do it 2 times in a row, but you could just skip.
Victory is ours. But you
And then you have Luke, whereas Luke is often locked. and has to be unlocked using a guild currency, and usually has to be unlocked by either the lieutenants of the guild or the master of the guild. Maybe there's a sergeant level too. So you can't just be a generic member and use the guild's currency to unlock them. You know, by him I mean her. Luke possibly is not worth unlocking in the long run, but I like to do it just to get more gold, more diamond crystals potentially. But yeah, you might very well be trading off one currency for another. Yeah, some of these rankings are going to be, yeah, you could probably eliminate the damage ranking number 1 since it is just ridiculously higher than number 2 as cheating, and then you probably could eliminate the top 6 as possibly cheating as far as how much damage is being done. Who knows? Because yeah, those are pretty big numbers. And so that's as much of the guild as I can show off at the moment, which means at this point we now have everything unlocked that will be unlocked for a while, but the goal definitely is to get to 520. You could come back and try and challenge more of this, and that will work. And certainly the process here is going to be bouncing back between the Tower of Infinity and the quest.
So, lend me your strength.
Whenever you run into a problem that you can't get further in the quest, you go to the Tower of Infinity and see if you can get any further there. The further you get up the Tower of Infinity, the higher rewards you're going to get. I am actively trying not to spend any of the diamond currency though. You can see I'm up to 2,000 right now. But if you can manage to not spend any of the gold currency until you have unlocked the better character pools, the gacha pools, you will in the long run benefit from that. But it is questionable if you can actually hold out that far. It seems like I probably hit another wall. We'll give it a few more times. And certainly this is a great example of how I really couldn't just have an ongoing series of playing this game, because this seizure inducing, again, apologies, you're going to see this a lot today, I'm sure. But yeah, as far as a streaming service, where a streaming series where I was playing this game, it would be a heck of a lot of this. And I'm sure people wouldn't really appreciate that.
I suppose this is also
But go ahead and jump back over to the quest and see if we're any better off. By the way, if you click while the population is going up, it will skip to the end. So just crazy clicking is the best way to speed up this whole process. And potentially, if I don't run into anything too challenging, I should be able to skip multiple levels. But that doesn't seem like that is the way this is going. Only able to go a couple of spots. But we're not lost yet. We have new equipment. We have level ups. And you know, it just does occur to me that that screen was, by the way, transferring stats from one item to another, and you generally just skip through that, or I do. You probably should pay a little bit more attention than I do. Whereas that just replaced items with better items or something stat wise, which we should mention stats once we get further along, but right now you can see there's nothing that can actually be done on this equipment. There's a whole bunch more options once you get to level 100. And overall, just increasing your battle points by adding equipment is not going to really do much for you, but this will do something. 6 more characters, with one being a super rare character. So go ahead and take that, level that up.
This gentle power you give me is not meant for killing, but for saving. It suits you perfectly.
So now we have a gold version of that character. Here, you're going to very quickly start to sort your characters this way, based on color. There is an argument to leveling up Merlin in particular, though, as she is a staple character. So we could get her leveled up as a super rare a lot easier than, say, Lunalin, who would be very hard to get duplicate versions of the character. That being said, I also just fed a extra version of Ilya, the just low quality character, to her to level her up, and that's probably not the wisest of moves. You can see, and this is something that most gacha games need to do, a lot of gacha games don't do enough of it, where it is just handing you a massive amount of extra rewards early in the game to just allow you to catch up, allow you to have a chance at a reasonable experience and not just be staggered at the first foot of a race. If we go back to the shop, we now have guilds with their own currency to buy things. Again, upgrade Panacea. Panacea is probably what you want. You have to be kind of conservative with upgrade water, but later in the game you realize you get and need only a little bit of that. Eventually the game just starts giving you a lot of these currencies for free. Grand Battle points, like, you're never going to engage with Grand Battle, but if you do, Holy Fragments are probably what you want, if not upgrade Panacea. Notice how there's like 999 possible purchases on that too, so no real limitation there. And still have 2 other things locked behind. But yeah, if I was to buy Merlin here and level up Merlin, you could every month get, every 30 days, get this. Well, it is every month. Get 1 more copy and level that up. But I would argue Cordy, it probably makes more sense to get first because it's an attacker, and if you're going with Amalith and as a blue character, then Merlin's gonna make less sense. While we do have a little bit of currency on some of these other ones, it's not quite good enough. Yeah. you're going to end up having a ton of these resources, but then purchasing these are going to prove to be kind of pointless. Yeah, again, I don't recommend purchasing anything with diamonds other than character pools. And the guild event, I haven't unlocked the reward that I would like for that event. Eventually, when you get to like level 300, some of these regular things will only cost gold, like 2 million gold or something, and that's when it becomes more reasonable. Notice the chat here had a dot on it. That is going to be fairly common too. So with this, though, I'm only getting so far. So back we go, and we have 4 Prayer of the Curse. So we're going to do individual draws instead of 10 draws. And the fingers crossed, we're looking for a purple limited rare character to unlock. And we didn't get that. Let's see, can we friend people? Yes, we can add all, refresh, add all, refresh, add all. And maybe some of that wasn't required, wasn't worked, but you can have a total of 40 friends. What happens is when you do have friends, you will claim send all every time you go into this app, and it will give you friend points. That's the maximum use of friends that you're actually going to engage with. Everything else is going to be never engaged with. So early game here, I have set 5 characters to be my top 5, one of which is a low quality character. And as it being a low quality character, I probably am going to end up just paying 50 gems to reset it later on to level up a higher quality character. But the hope here is that that would
You have to handle flowers with care.
have leveled up the characters better. Although,
My deepest apologies,
if
my lord.
I am going to actually do that, I have to actually move my team around because I haven't rebuilt the team since then.
I suppose this is also part of my...
Leave it to me.
What happens is that once you're a month or 2 into this game, just playing it daily, you have your teams pretty set, and the amount they grow is nowhere
Lend me your...
fast. In fact, there are huge slumps that I run into where I go weeks, if not months, with
Lend me your...
very little progress being made. And yeah, at some point in this episode,
I'm sorry.
I probably should just link my accounts,
I'm sorry.
abandon the current account,
Sorry. I'm sorry.
and link my current accounts to show off further progress after playing for a couple of years. It's worth pointing out, obviously, in something like this, that this is a very OCD type experience. If you're not into that kind of repetitive nature grinding, even if it is somewhat skippable and automated, you're not going to find a lot in this game.
I'm still a bit scared to find.
Yeah. No, I am currently working on the 3rd save file, and having 3 save files is insane.
So, lend
So-
me your
Even having 2 save files. There is a small hope, but it has not been fulfilled in
I'm still a
the
bit
couple
scared
years
Thank you,
that
everyone.
I've played,
This is our victory.
where some of these servers might get merged eventually. So one of my accounts might merge with the other account, and then I would get a big boost by merging 2 accounts together.
We will not let anyone get hurt ever
This
again.
be enough?
But yeah, that hasn't happened. It has happened in the past for some of the early accounts, so like server 1, 2, 3, and 4 may have been merged into just server
I
1,
suppose this is also part of my job.
as fewer and fewer people are playing those servers. The idea of different servers does feel fairly weird to me, though.
Something's happened in the world of trials. I feel a strange power.
So yeah, we push forward and we unlock the next thing, the Fountain of Prayers.
Oh, check out this fountain. The water's surface is showing us someplace different. From the looks of it, we can travel to other worlds from here.
So what's weird about that is that the trials, the world of trials, has already been described as an illusion place, just a made-up imaginary place for you to just practice in. So a Fountain of Prayers taking you to someplace different feels like it's imaginary on top of imaginary.
But this fountain is another place created by the world of trials, right? Who knows what kinds of trials are waiting on the other side? But if we let fear stop us, we never will. Let's go and take the plunge.
We still have Ilya giving us the tutorial, but once you're out of the tutorial, you really stop seeing her. She's
Select a
just
world
a
to start
regular
an
character.
expedition.
Alright, well, the way these trials work is you get trials that are normal, team-based, and sometimes guerrilla, which show up more randomly and maybe are a little bit more difficult. Then you dispatch them.
Guess each world has different conditions set that determine the rarity or soul of the characters who can enter. Go and select who you want to send on this expedition.
So in this case, it wants a normal character times 1. I am not giving it a normal character if I click on this, but that seems to be
When you're ready,
good enough.
head out.
You get the check mark and you can dispatch. Usually it's 3 that you would select, and you just click auto select. And this is where having at least 1 copy of each character at the highest rarities possible makes sense. So it doesn't, there's no way you'd really play this game where you eliminate and get rid of characters. I don't even know how you'd really do that, so that you only had your top 5 characters.
Looks like everyone made it back safely. What a relief.
And then usually these
All right,
events finish
Let's check out the rewards we've collected.
after a couple of hours. So you'll come in and you'll have a bunch of events finished, and then you'll have a bunch more events to start. You'll just click the dispatch all and the claim all buttons. Yeah. And so this is yet another way to send off your members, but you don't send them off in a way that you can't use them for other things, but it's just another way to get more currency, which clearly this game is all about the currency and the shopping. They want to give you a ton of secondary currencies to get you into the shopping mood, so you spend real world money to get premium currencies like the diamonds, even though diamonds can be earned through things like this for free. Yeah, Guerrilla Quests are special, limited time only quests. Compared to other quests, Guerrilla Quests give more lavish results. Apparently they're not actually any more difficult. Honestly, I don't think you can actually fail any of these quests. If you meet the dispatch requirements, they always come back successful, as far as I can tell. As you clear more cases, more quests, the rank goes up, which will increase the rarity of the characters you'll need to do some of the quests. So you wouldn't want to rank up too early. So yeah, you just do something like this. Now that team is off the list for a while. So this is where having a nice big harem is necessary. Now, this is a case where we don't have the right characters. This will satisfy the normal requirement because it's better than normal and the green character requirement, but I have no more blues, so I can't dispatch on that one. Same is true for that one. We have a team one, which is this, and I don't know what support does here. I guess support could be that I brought in somebody from my guild. Yeah, because that's what this seems like, is it's either bringing in random people or somebody from a guild. I didn't even know that's how support worked. Oh, I guess it is. So you set your characters to be used by other people as a support. Can we accomplish this one? Yes. You only needed 3 characters. So that'll be done in 2 hours. That'll be done in an hour. These others will be done in an hour to 2 hours. And unless we can get some more blues, we can't send those ones off. So then that points you to going and getting more blues.
I suppose this
which
is
is
also part of
constantly what you're trying to do, is you're just trying to build up your team as varied as possible and as strong as possible.
To me.
More strong than varied if you have to make a choice. If we can just get to the boss battle here, that's when I feel like we're going to run into the real challenge. Now what you do run into, storyline wise, is you'll start to have entire chapters, 2 or 3 chapters even happen before you run into the next big Witch of Queeloff boss battle. But at the current moment, I'm not even getting that far. I'm only managing to move a couple of steps forward.
I suppose this.
Leave it to me.
And yeah, at some point you will just run out of steam. You'll lose your momentum and not have anything else you can do. Let's see. So yeah, right now, Vine Stream, let's see, does whatever this says, which is a big wall of text at level 2. When you get it to level 4, it'll have more abilities. See that this unlocks at level 181 for level 4. This one at 81, so pushing things high. But it's also worth pointing out that the maximum level Merlin has right now is 120, and that's not going to go up to 200 for quite a while. So there is some thoughts that need to be thought. I could do 8 hours of experience to level up my character if I get really desperate. And I could try and use these gems, which I guess I should talk about that in particular. We've now done everything we can do until we unlock the next thing. And at this point, the only thing that's going to unlock the next things is going up on the quests. So we are just leveling. Raise one character to 60, 80, 100, 120. No raising 2 characters requirement. And yeah, you could probably look at some of these other things, then see if maybe you're closer to unlocking that. This is not unlocked yet, so I can't show off what I wanted to show. Okay. Quick battle here would cost 30 gems. That would be a waste. Collecting this is probably not going to do much.
So,
Did we just level up enough to move forward?
leave it to me. Leave it to me.
Otherwise, it is going to be a case of Tower of Infinity. At the roughly 4-hour mark, if you were going to start a new save file and just play this game for one day with really way too much intensity and commitment, you're hitting a wall. And that wall will eventually go away because you'll get more experience. Yeah, I think what happens is my player rank probably maxes out at some point. I think there's very little more that can be done.
Leave it to me. Leave it to me.
I'm sorry. I suppose this is.
This too is not going anywhere.
Leave it to me.
So I could use this to challenge an older one. It's not really the time to do that. I could also use the boss tickets here to challenge these. You can also move your auto battle if you wanted for some reason to attack somewhere else. Right now my winning percentage, it says it's 100% though, so there's no reason to lower your auto battle to a lower location unless you were looking specifically for some kind of reward at a lower location, which you probably don't really need to do that or want to do that. So we've got now 3 friends automatically, which gives me 5 friend points, which is not the 50 that you would need. We don't have any tickets here. This would need 50 to do 1, and we don't have any of these. So yeah, I want to just give a second here as far as what's the next thing that could be done. You could certainly go into the indexes and try and read some of the stories and get a few gems, a few crystals, diamonds, whatever they're called. And that would be one way to grind out some crystals, and that would also spoil the stories, which, if I'm going to be kind to the creator of this game, I don't think it's beneficial to spoil the entire stories in a playthrough and showing off to people. Frankly, if you want to know the stories, you probably could find it easier through their own YouTube pages or their own websites. So I guess if you ever get a little bit lost, now that you are just in this waiting pattern, you can use this. This says clear level 3 of the Cave of Time and Space is our next goal. Can we do that? Can we challenge people? Maybe. Probably not. I've gotten several new characters since I last tried this.
Time to enforce justice.
But unless I'm just fairly lucky, I'm not sure I'm gonna make it all the way to the end.
I mean, there's nothing to it.
This is one of the anime girls where it's definitely in one of those lewd poses that you see often in Marvel and DC infamous panels, in that she's definitely designed to show off thighs and butt and still get some side boob in it. They clearly know what they're doing. But it's gonna be up to each person's personal decision as far as whether they're cool with it or they're not cool with it. Let's go and throw that one in. The amount of damage with that bonus is 332,362, which is about 3 times what we were doing before when we first tried.
I suppose this is also part of
So
my
I'm
job.
pretty much gonna win, so we can just skip forward. At which point the question is, do I need to enhance or do I need to heal? Got a lot of dead characters, but we really only have one character that needs healing, so it makes more sense to enhance. And then this is a random 1 to 3 random blessings will be upgraded. This time it was only 2.
Leave it to me.
So I think we can make it all the way to the end here. Which I wasn't really anticipating
Time to
that we
enforce
were actually going to be
justice.
able to do that in the first day. What I'm picking here is pretty random, other than I'm picking enemies that
Commence operation.
will give me rewards.
Victory.
I'm just trying to maximize the amount of rewards you'll get here. Which I don't think your
I suppose
rewards
this is
on
also
this go
part of my
up
job.
much either. So at level 300, the amount of rewards you get per battle may be almost exactly the same as
Commence
being at level
operation.
1.
Time to get sick.
And that may just be to keep things fair. So we've made it now to the boss fights. These boss fights don't tend to be
I'm
too
still a
much
bit
more
scared.
difficult. They're just the same characters.
Get ready for this. No one hurt. Initiating attack. It's your turn, Emma.
Leave this to me. Victory is ours.
And so your big reward here is 100 gems. And we've cleared it for the first time. So we can now claim that. And then here it wants us to have over 300,000 total BP. You can also claim that weekly quest and that. We'll continue to get friends. So our total BP, I don't know where you would see that.
What is that? Is there someone out there? Someone who's trying to come and save me? Or it's just my imagination?
Yeah, I don't know how you could get your total BP upgraded to see it, but you can level this up a couple times. Can't level that up. At level 40, equipment is still not showing any of the higher level features. So yeah, very little has changed. We are stuck at 316. The next requirement wants us to get to 4-4,
Still, leave it to me.
which is not a crazy distance from where we're stuck, but if you're actually stuck,
Still, leave it to
you're
me.
going to struggle.
Not let.
I suppose this.
And unlike a cell phone, which is somewhat disposable, there we got past it, so maybe the next few will be easier. You're gonna wear out a mouse on PC doing this a lot more.
I suppose this is also part of my
Yeah.
job.
Just the massive amount of clicking that you're gonna end up doing. Let's skip forward. Although then, once you eventually
Scared.
do level off and hit a difficulty plateau in this game. This game has some small difficulty spikes, but eventually it's just like you realize that the enemies around you are 70,000 levels, 70,000 BPs above you, 70 levels above you, and it's just not gonna happen.
Leave it to me. I suppose this.
But it's not like you run into a boss and it does 5 times the amount of damage and has 10 times the health. But yeah, I definitely do worry for my mouse, just clicking this over and over again. And this trick is going to be heavily related to your willingness to tolerate just randomly, mindlessly clicking things and getting fractions of audio spoken. And I definitely do feel like you can't call this good gameplay, and that your entire strategy boils down to just clicking and skipping and clicking and skipping. And it doesn't look like we're going to be able to push Tower of Infinity any higher either. Of slightly better equipment. And we're continuing to make progress. Let's see, so you can like comment and chat one time for 20 gems. You could edit your comment on your player profile. You could buy one item from a regular shop. You could buy one from a holy item shop. But like 324 here is the more important thing. Then a lot of these are just beyond things. Link your accounts, follow them on Twitter, follow their official YouTube channel. Twitter still is a weird thing in that there hasn't been an obvious and easy way to replace it, despite people's efforts. Let's see. Maybe this says my total BP. Yeah. Total BP right now is 255,000. So, yeah. So we are fairly far from where we would want to be. And it's going to get more and more expensive to level up going forward. So we've hit that point where using just one of these will give me a bunch of XP. That will then allow me to do one level up there. So that's not going to be enough. So 2 hours at the current rate that you get things back. It's only going to get you 3 level ups, which means 8 hours, which you want to hold on to these 8-hour ones, but it doesn't matter really. It's not a big loss. It gets you to level 59, which I don't think anything here would even unlock until level 61 here. Now, is there any real reason to use the coins? No. And eventually you'll get to a point where some of these have 99 copies and you'll have to use them just because you can't have more than 99. Everything on the regular shop here is way too expensive. Spending like 24 gems here would be crazy because then you'll get an odd number. So I'd want to spend at least 100 to avoid that. We still don't have anywhere enough to buy from the holy fragments. We could buy from the fragment shop. Now that we have finished the space-time one, we could make some purchases here. So, the question is, which ones do we own versus which ones we don't own? Yeah, you can't go between these menus particularly easily. So, you probably would be best off just buying these. Going with random, then trying to go for targeted. Because random costs 6,000, whereas non-random cost 12,000. Twice of it as expensive to just know. Don't really need kindling orbs and can't buy upgrade water, which would be maybe something to think about buying, but I can't afford it unless I was going to potentially use the events to get upgrade water, which doesn't seem like you can even really do that. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to. This is a lot of this event currency to get holy fragments. So that is another step forward with another 400 gems. And so you can see now how the game is getting more complicated. It's just a little bit more work to figure out how to get forward, move momentum. And the next step would be to do the challenges. Which I guess this is where you would do the challenge. Is this really the team? Just have a couple level 1 characters still?
Leave it to me.
Weird. So we're challenging a non-boss battle, and here you can see all 5 of these characters are just random characters. And frankly, I think all these characters are straight up just assets that were pre-bought. I'm not going to say that they are flips because there's a whole game around it, but
My deepest apologies, my lord.
there definitely is something there. Now, why did that challenge fail?
Leave it to me. Will this be enough?
Time to get serious.
Let's go ahead and skip.
I'm sorry.
So we may have to
All
just
right. I suppose this is all.
either I'm going to have to sit here
I'm
and do that multiple times,
I suppose this.
or I'm going to have to go back to lower, less difficult
I suppose this.
levels.
Leave it to me. I suppose this. Leave it to me. I suppose this. Victory is ours.
I have
But you
5
mustn't let
tickets
this get to
that
your
could
head,
be
my
used
lord.
to let me challenge that 5 more times. There's very little reason why I would do that. That gave me very little in rewards. And this is the only other thing I can challenge.
I'm still a bit scared to fight. I'm still a...
Victory is. I'm sorry, but we need
I have
to
3
keep moving
tickets
forward.
that I probably should save that would let me challenge that. Yeah, the game is still giving me network errors. So an hour into this game, into the second episode of a probably two-part quick look,
The world needs your
we've
power.
hit a wall.
Come on, let's go.
And there's only really one more thing to do. And it's the thing I don't want to do. Which is to spend gems. But before we do that, if we need to get to 300,000 BP and we're at 266 BP, we can spend gold. That's one thing. This character can level up to level 20 without spending anything, really. That's a really bad character to level up, but whatever. And that will only spend gold and stuff, which doesn't really matter. So you're only losing a little bit by doing that. Because it is just this experience and this. It's this currency, the Crimson, that's actually fairly valuable and you don't want to waste it. And I'm going the wrong direction here. Come to think of it, this is what I want to level up. I want to get this up to level 100 first. I also need to turn off the automatic release function for a while so that I can actually keep the other two characters. So did that get me anywhere close to my goal? 286, so we got like 20,000 BP for doing that. But the struggle is very much real. We now have also Fruit of Healings. They could have been used for the tower. What is it? Cave of Space-Time. So yeah. Can't get to 4-4. We're at 320. And yeah. 21, 22, 23, 24. Then probably 4. And so you can't unlock anything else more. It really is just a case that at the end of this day, I need to just wait 8 hours to get, or even wait 1 hour to get 4,000 more XP. To try and level up more things. $4,000 XP of this green XP, though, would mean I would really need to wait 2 hours to even level up once. So if I was to spend 30 gems and get 2 hours, it definitely wouldn't be worth it. Plus, this is going to get more expensive as things progress. You can have different parties, by the way. If there was some reason why you needed different parties, but you're going to find very quickly that having one party to focus on is mostly it. Okay, so I've been saying I'm not keeping this account anyways. So now is the time to do the thing that you really should not do, and yet it proves to be very difficult. Let's see, how do you get this award? I guess maybe you have to purchase it. Obviously this disappears in 7 days, and so that must have been what happened on my accounts. But yeah, we're still not at 50 friendship points. Still don't have any of these Prayer of Amber things. There's a whole other thing, a whole other tab for items and weapons that you eventually unlock in this. So it really is just going to come down to what do we want to get, and the logical thing to get is this, the newest character, Potpourri, because then that'll give us some rewards more frequently than anything else. So there's two ways to go about this. You could go with an invoke of 10, which I don't believe increases your odds in any way. If you do an invoke 99 consecutive times, Potpourri is guaranteed to appear on the 100th invoke, so you have to do it consecutively, which means you can't jump around to other invokes. I bet that's not really true, because it definitely doesn't seem like that, but that is also a lot of gems. That's 30,000 gems to guarantee one at most. You get some rewards at certain pools. But yeah, if you do an individual pull rate, it's a higher rate to get Potpourri, 1.37%, so slightly below 1 out of 100, and you're guaranteed it at 100, slightly above the odds are. But if we scroll down and look at the group of 10 invoke, there's no difference here as far as it seems. You have much higher chances of getting the less interesting characters. Right, so you have to be lucky and hope for luck here. And the way to do this is to buy and invoke one at a time, hoping that just like on your first draw, you'll get successful, which is going to be a bit more clicking. But yeah, spending 300 gems in this way is not the worst, and there is definitely an argument that if you're a free-to-player, saving 200 gems by invoking this way versus invoking the later way that unlocks that costs 500 gems might make some sense for early game. But notice I just opened 4 of them, and this is the first one that's even slightly good, just as far as a blue aura. So you really are just flushing those gems that the game has given you as a new player down the toilet, hoping, just praying to win the lottery here. And we'll keep a little bit of gems to do something different, I guess. Well, we'll have 200 gems anyway, so that was that. That was all of the gems being spent. He gave me some characters, one of which I can awaken, which now we have one of these locked. We now have one of these. This is weirdly one of the few actual Japanese looking characters in the game, which definitely makes her seem like she's a different character from a different world. Samurai from a faraway land who seems somewhat distant and detached. is the description there. But yeah, there. That should be one of everything now. So now we can go back and automatically release. Now that we have so the 4 normal level characters have now been collected. That didn't give me any XP to level up, and it didn't let me grow any characters. So yeah, unless I was just gonna go and buy panels or try and get some more crystals, there's very little that can be done here. You can't equip any of the gems you have because none of the equipment I have is high enough. It needs to be at least level 100, I think, before you can equip things. So yeah, that currency, those modifications are just things that haven't even unlocked yet. I don't think anything here. Don't have any parts to create any weapons. Yeah. Almost raised something to level 60. Haven't gotten anything that high. Haven't gotten that far. Can't skip forward in time to log in for a 3rd day. Almost reached floor 30. Gonna be pretty far away from that. Gonna be pretty far away from that. I imagine if you just click this, it's gonna just assume you did it and open up MementoMori in the same way that I assume that it's just gonna open up MementoMori on YouTube. And then this is the link your account password, which I'd have to figure out what that is. I can do this. Be a little wasteful. Let's see, we can just say hi there, and then immediately leave and not do anything. We can say nice to meet you without the exclamation mark, and then that will do that. But yeah, buying something from the regular shop would require spending gems, which we do have like 40 gems now. But I don't know if I really want to buy something that's 24. So let's get a boss ticket if we're just going to be wasteful. And then we can't buy anything from this. We're nowhere close. And a lot of these things are one-time things that you're only going to get a reward the very first time you do it, just to prove you know how to do it. So yeah, if that is supposed to be what's leading you into the next step, it's not particularly helping. Otherwise, I am totally locked out. Let's see. We could go to the panel index. Spend all of our currency to unlock these different panels, which these are basically just the loading screens showing you off characters and stories going on. But like the events around something like this, you've already missed, so you can't really go back and experience those events. And that's how you go back to the title screen to switch servers. Yeah, I do believe I am completely painted into a corner. I don't think there's much more that can be done. Couple more level ups. We are now past level 61. More equipment that can be equipped. Now there is a possibility also that you may have equipped some equipment on a character like this that would be better if it was equipped here versus having nothing at all. But it doesn't seem like the game is really going to care too much. Yeah, I was thinking that there might be something more I could do with the gems, but there actually isn't. Yeah. Not at the moment. Not until I can put the gems on weapons, then I could use the diamonds, the premium currency, more in that case. So unless the small change I just made has somehow put me close enough that I can get ahead, I think we are stuck. And maybe we're not going to be stuck at 320, but I very much wonder if we're going to be stuck at 326.
I suppose
Or,
this is also part of my job.
It is also very possible we get past 326, we start chapter 4, and then that unlocks a bunch more of the game, which we're about to see as much as you're going to see for probably the first 6 weeks to 6 months of playing the game. There's only a few more things after you get to like 520. Yeah, once you get to 520, very little changes until you're somewhere around 8 or 9 chapter 8 or 9. So here is number 9 of the Witch of Khalifa, which is Lunalyn, which we already have a copy of her, interestingly enough. It's worth pointing out that as far as I ever have figured out in this game, one copy of the character has the exact same stats as another copy of the character, so you're never going to get like an ultra rare shiny version of a character that you need to focus on and feed the other characters into. It's still not too much of a challenge. Level 55 on 2 characters versus level 63 and level 39, and then some more levels over here. Overall, the battle power is at 306, where this is 435, but that's not a guaranteed loss either. It's going to come down heavily onto just what characters immediately get knocked down and killed. Which, yes, if Merlin's ability can project and reduce the damage that Ilya is doing, Merlin here, Ilya here, you have a chance of winning. Even here, where you got them down to about a quarter, gives me a lot of hope that I could just keep on clicking and skipping, and then I will just eventually win. because one critical hit has to happen, and it is just a Dungeons and Dragons dice roll, effectively, as far as whether critical hits happen or not. If I can get past this, I probably can get past at least the next 6 levels. But the question is, how much do I want to sit here and click? And that's where your own personal determination is going to come into it. Is can you not pay attention to this? And clearly, if I was streaming and just using this audio in the background, I would not sit here and click through this as it goes. This is also a weird game in that, knowing how far I've gotten on my regular counts, I have put in a ton of work for my own personal reasons that really needed to be done to show off a game like this, and that is probably the truth for most gacha games and mobile games, is that you're really not going to show a good experience of what it is if you just start brand new and go through it. One of the games I just started playing is a great example of that, where I've been playing and putting a lot of time into it for the past 3 days, and it is just really, really grindy and a lot of work to unlock very little content behind that work. Right, so that doesn't seem like that's working. Let's see, and we can't level up anything. We can swap out some equipment. Maybe we can level up this. This is what I was looking for, I believe. Let's see. At the start of each turn, if 3 or more allies are alive, this skill increases the chance to deal a critical hit to both Merlin and one adjacent ally by 20%, cannot be dispelled. Which that is definitely something different when you have those kinds of skills. If the ally with the highest attack is afflicted with a debuff, the spell dispels 1 debuff from them. Let's see, this is the real one you want. At the start of each turn, when Merlin is attacked, if her remaining HP is below 50%, this skill grants regeneration to both Merlin and one adjacent ally, cannot be dispelled. So that's where her biggest value is. So back we go now with some stats changed. And we'll just see how this goes now that we have that new skill. The audio on this game sounds great on my phone. In my headphones, perhaps not as good. There is perhaps an argument that I need to upgrade my headphones somewhat, but also I know that my cell phone is doing a bunch of Dolby Atmos tricks and shenanigans to make the audio sound more. It makes it sound like there's a very wide sound stage where the left and right channels sound very separated.
My deepest apologies, my lord.
Yeah, again, not something that makes me think there's 0 chance of me winning, getting it down to a quarter. But yeah, also a high chance that sitting here and clicking this is a massive waste of time. So instead of trying this, it's probably ready to bounce back to the Tower of Infinity. Let's see if we can get some more of those levels done.
I'm sorry.
And on a cell phone, what will happen is you'll click and you'll notice that it will take a little bit longer to process. On a computer, I'm not feeling any of that stutter or stagger that happens on a cell phone. So I just clicked, I just won, we are done. We defeated that. We are now moving to the Free Nation Republic of Needle, next country. Which, knowing about the countries actually doesn't matter much because the witches are the only characters in the game. Like, there are no kings or queens or anything like that that show up as characters. Population's going up, rewards are going up. We are now in chapter 4.
I'm still a bit scared to find.
So more annoying clicking to see if we can make any further progress, or are we still really stuck?
Still a bit.
I suppose that
It was 420, I believe, that we were trying to beat,
Not let.
which if we can't get through 4-1, which it seems like we can't,
Still a bit.
then
Not let.
odds are very low that we can get to 420. It's 4-4. It would unlock Battle League, which even unlocking that is not going to do much for us. Getting the 520 to get Temple of Illusion's not going to do much for us. Both of these activities really just give you currency to go back to the shop and nothing else. Tower of Infinity is
so lend me your
example of one of the few things that you can get rewards from.
my job.
Leave
And
it to me.
notice here that in what has
I
been
suppose this is also part
just
of my
about 5 hours of gameplay,
Everyone.
I'm already at level 30 on this floor,
job.
so
I
that
suppose this is also part
level
of my
1 is not particularly valuable if everybody can beat level 1 and level 5 and level 10 without even really having to level up your character. And that is very much what you feel in this game, is that they make a couple levels that are throwaway levels where you're guaranteed victories, just so you have a higher win ratio, which is not bad game design. There's just no reason here that you should have like a 50% win ratio where you win half the time and lose half the time. If the game can cheat in your favor and give you a 66 to 75% win ratio, that's great. That being said, it then throws very difficult things at you, and you get these small difficulty spikes where you have a 30 to 1 loss ratio going on as you're just sitting here clicking skip over and over again. And I assume this is how everybody really plays the game. I can't imagine too many people are sitting here and just watching the battles happen. And because this game is so idle and they're just not really expecting you to play it, the background music on this never changes from that piano music.
My love.
The animations change based on the characters in your team and the enemies that you're fighting, but the background is always the same. You don't get to a different level and get different backgrounds. Which, yeah, could be nice if maybe they added some variety to the game, but also their focus clearly is just on the songs and the soundtracks, which it makes it very weird that you can't actually access these songs. 61. Get this to 61. You can hear the songs here by favoriting the character. I really doubt that. Yeah, 4-8 unlock songs. Feels like that should be unlocked from the beginning. Finally. We do have something now that can move us forward a little bit. Maybe. One more character and 5 draws. So we're looking for something really good. Of course, this pool of characters is the very consistent and not particularly important characters. So even if I did get something from this pool, it wouldn't really help me much. So we've already in for a penny, so let's go in for a pound and see if we can get potpourri, which odds are incredibly low that we would. If we were going to win potpourri, the screen would change and it would go all black, so you'd know instantly, basically. So, yeah. Still not there. Our BP is over 300,000 now, but there is just no element here to, like, we want it at 400,000 for the next reward. This does say we can upgrade items now.
Looks like you can upgrade your gear from here. Let's give it a try.
So this is where your gold goes, and they just don't even tell you. You just would have to have gone to the menu and looked. Of course, this is more upgrade material. Expense at a certain point. But what you can do is you can get it to level 10 or 20 for just using gold. And gold is worthless in this game. You have 900,000 in the matter of just a couple hours. You just don't want to use the upgrade stuff. And at some point in the distant future, maybe you would want that. But not now. Not early game. So now all of those are upgraded to level 20 except for this one, it's level 21. Whoops. And we can do that again. Just no easy button to do it, and definitely when you start getting into these deeper menus, you would just like an upgrade all button as an option. So now everything is a plus 20 levels, which maybe it doesn't really work that way. You definitely see also this checkbox in these arrows being very helpful. So these are level 20 equipment that are equipped on this one, so the most I can max it up to is level 20. You can't level things up beyond what its actual stats are. Which, yeah, its upgrade level can't be higher than its actual level. Just gonna make it fairly convenient in that we can't overshoot. And if there are any other bits of equipment you wanted to upgrade, you could, although it's pretty stupid to upgrade this for 40 gold, so it's +1. But there's actually a reason to do it, because there is, I believe, a reward for upgrading a bunch of items and weapons. And since it is just gold, and gold is worthless, we still have 700,000 after doing all of that. Eventually, you'll start using gold to reroll the stats on equipment. And when you hit that level, then there is going to be more of the gold, more that you can do with gold, but it's still not going to really matter. So there we have one more draw ticket, and we've upgraded 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, 60 times, 80 times, 100 times, 150 times. The gaps are getting wider. 200 times, 250 times, 300, 350, 400, 450. So that is a stacked reward. Which does let me come back and do some things. I also may be able to dispatch some characters now for some of these quests, now that I have a few more characters. So yeah, I started those quests about an hour ago. So now with higher equipment, will we be able to win? Probably not. Which probably is going to highlight how equipment being upgradable is not much of a thing. You have to have really high level matching sets of armor and equipment for it to start to really matter, and it probably is closer to player versus player stats that have to be changed with those high level of equipment, not not the single player experience. So you get this when you hit certain levels. You get a sale that ends in a couple hours to high pressure you into spending real world money to get minimal amount of rewards. Here's Cordy, and in the background promoting it. Cordy will be the same one always. It'll be the same picture always. And yeah, those kinds of pop-up ads are not,
I suppose this is also part of my
usually not worth it, and I don't think they're worth it in this game. What you can spend money for in this game early on is going to be so worthless to you 6 months, a year, 2 years into the game, because you're gonna get all of those items just playing the game and grinding out if you stick with it. But it is worth pointing out that this game, like most gacha mobile games, or games of services, if you want to call them that are adding new content every month, are very much something you have to know you're going to plan on committing, or at least trying to commit to. If you rage quit, you really aren't going to come back, and if you only want to play once every couple of weeks, you're not going to have a good experience by any means. So we are so close, and yet it is still a case where my levels are just too low, and that really shows how much you're going to have to grow, because there's only 3 of the witches in the fight. Eventually it will be 5 of the witches that you'll be fighting. Yeah. Fortunately, we have no bonuses going on right now. So again, we're just so close.
Still a bit scared to leave it to me.
And it is very much just
To me.
digging for diamonds now. Are you going to give up right before you hit it, or are you going to keep going?
Sorry.
Yeah, the Tower of Infinity is also not beatable, based on just slightly better armor. And we can't get better armor. It is kind of a catch-22. You can't get better armor without winning. You can't win without better armor. But through perseverance, I was able to go up a couple levels.
Sorry. Leave it to me. Will this be enough? Will this be enough? I'm still a bit sorry. I'm sorry. Will this be?
But it does seem like it's going to only be a couple of levels.
Leave it to me. Not let.
Really scraping the bottom of the barrel here to get all the possible success one could have. So here's where transfers happen, where the 21 levels I put into this level A will be transferred over into this level S. Almost always that's what you want it to do. You can see it's going to be 200 more total power because of that. And then the question is, do I possibly want to start leveling up? Oh yeah. What is being used to level up this is different. Upgrade water is only used to upgrade gear. I was confused there, so yeah, by all means, max it out. And cross our fingers. Clearly this is an example of the game has too many currencies in it. Yeah, we're gonna run out of upgrade water, but not terrible. So at 4-4, we're trying to beat 4-4 for Battle League, which we won't ever actually be able to do anything, and then if we can beat 4-8 for the other Temple of Illusion thing.
Leave it to me. I suppose that. Leave it to me.
The question is how close really am I getting, even when I get lucky and get critical hits. It may not be that close.
Leave it to me.
It does feel like the game is moving maybe a little slower, so it probably is trying to calculate things. Let's watch it once and see what happens. Sometimes the position you put characters in will affect the outcome. So there is an argument to moving this here and moving this here. But often it is a case that where that changes very little.
I suppose this is also part of my job.
Because ideally you want this to hit one of these characters. It doesn't really matter if it leaves one of these characters alive. So if your character always attacks someone directly across from them, that's a different thing. A lot of characters though also have effects that prevent them from taking damage or prevent them from dying completely. And see, in that case, that was very much the case with that character, is that they all had an effect on them that was preventing them from doing damage. But which means they probably have shields that are not being penetrated by my character. Let's watch that a second time and then we'll give up. So yeah, you'll see these attacks happen and they'll lose several thousand health, and then this effect will show up.
Once again, I couldn't protect anyone.
Okay, so we are back to just trying to summon things. We have one more of these, which that's not going to do anything, I can tell you already. See if we can get potpourri. But even if we got potpourri, she would just be our first real limited rarity character. Which you are then going to be in a catch-22 where if you try to level up a limited rarity character and you don't get a bunch of copies of it, you're going to hit a maximum issue. Just a level cap issue. Yeah, just clicking the button and awakening more things does not do anything for us. Get one more, and then we can awaken. This could be leveled up by these if we wanted it to. But honestly, I probably would be wiser to take this, feed it this and this, and then level up that. Since this is just like a common character anyways. So this is where you actually have to start thinking about it. What is the best move?
Thank you. I promise to work harder than I have ever done before.
So we leveled that up, so we can level this up.
On the line if it means repaying this debt I owe you.
And you can see how they would need a couple lines of dialogue there. Otherwise it would get very repetitive if it just said thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is rank 30 player. We know we're close to that. This is 11-12 to unlock that. We've made some more progress on these early main quests. This is that sales pitch. And yeah, we're pretty much at the point where we can't do anything more. You're just like on the cusp of making progress. If you've played pretty perfectly and gotten fairly lucky, I would say in this run we really haven't done as lucky of an outcome as you might have wanted, because we didn't get particularly any great starter characters, and re-rolling may very well have helped quite a bit if you just started the game over and played the first hour of the game. But yeah, as it stands, the default sort. Let's see that. Yeah, you just can't really level things up any further. You just gotta wait. You could do this. That'll give you maybe 1 level up. But I would need basically 13 level ups. Let's go ahead and do a quick battle for 30. That'll get me to level 22. Didn't realize it was at level 22. That gets me 2 level ups. Exactly what I suspected it would. Why is it having a problem with me smelting gear? Upgraded gear. Sure, smelt upgraded gear. By the way, these dark items are fed into other items usually, but we're not to that point where we can really do that. It's so weird you get so many items in this game that just like early on have to be stockpiled. So yeah, there is no way, it seems, that I'm going to get to the Temple of Illusions or the League of Legend League. Small possibility you might unlock the Battle League. They haven't even told you what you have to do. I think you have to defeat floor 100 to unlock the other Towers of Infinity. As far as other content that's not unlocked yet, there's two more pools at the bottom here that cost 500 gems instead of 300, but then give you better rewards on every pool and give you a chance at winning 30,000 gems, even though the chance is incredibly low. There's a whole other tab over here for items. Can't show off Grand Battle, can't show off the guild tree. There's a ton more to be unlocked as you progress, as far as going to more worlds and more countries. But actually the gameplay in this menu stays exactly the same. Everything here is the same. Everything here is the same, everything here is the same. Everything here and everything here is the same. But it is certainly a case where you can actually use some of these currencies, which there's way too many of them. Nothing changes on this tab, and it's not until you get to basically level 200 plus that you start to get a return shards button that will take a character like this and turn them into shards to put them in your box to save you space, because they are taking up roster space, which would cost gems to expand, and you shouldn't really do that because they also expands the space as you level up, I believe. And then eventually there is a awakened button that takes these level of low rarity characters and lets you raise them to even higher levels, but you basically have to be at level 300 to get that. You have to be at least at player rank 30 to get to the level link, which drastically changes the game. And then on this screen there is not too much more. Interesting. Quick battle. I would have sworn I would have quick battled way more than that. Did it just roll over? And I would have sworn I quick battled. No, quick battle was the thing I just paid gems to do. Here we have a friend request, which we can approve. Which I definitely should unfriend all those people before logging into my next account, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pause the recording, log into my phone accounts, and then unpause the recording and show you what I can't show you in 5 hours and, well, maybe 4 hours and 45 minutes of gameplay. This is the world's longest two-part quick look, certainly. Be right back. Okay, I'm back now. So, here's the sound warning you get if you listen at high volumes, which I guess they're just less likely to be concerned about that on a cell phone, because you don't get the sound warning on the cell phone version. So I've linked my account. A little scary always doing that. Defriended everybody and left the clan I had started on World 21, which brings me to World 14, which was the newest world on my first account that I started playing. That being said, I also have a World 15 that was the second account I started, and at this point there's very little difference between the amount of progress between World 14 and World 15, and it was probably at least a month between starting World 14 and World 15. But yeah, I've been clearly playing for a while since they're up to World 21. And there's no reason to recommend new players go back to anything other than the newest one. Unless you have friends that are playing a specific world, which then you have an excuse. But yeah, rank 341 versus rank 337. So let's jump in to what the game looks like. Again, having to agree to everything and having to download a little bit more data. When you've gotten past chapter 4.4.
What? Back already?
So we have a whole bunch of daily quests here that I'm not going to bother showing because this video is already way too long. But on your screen, as far as how it goes, there's the same daily rewards, just now everything is unlocked, and you unlock that fairly quickly. The same weekly rewards, except for everything is unlocked, and really the same main quests. I'm at chapter 23 of 28. I'm below chapter 23-28, and I am just below the level 200 for all of the Tower of Souls. There's also rewards for making higher level runes. I've made a level 12, but you need 2 level 12s to combine to make a level 13, so it becomes exponentially better, more difficult. Battle League, still not something I really have managed to engage with. Upgrading items will show all of that off, but you can see there is less rewards, and getting 300 rewards, in particular getting up to like level 350, is way more work than getting 300 gems for getting to level 100 in comparison. We can collect our friend points, which you can have 50 friends once you get to a certain point, and apparently there's a new friends battle thing that I haven't really engaged with. I don't see a reason why you would do that, though. It doesn't seem like it gives you any reward for that, but I have to check. I don't know what that guy did to be blocked. This world event is done. All these notifications. I'm just trying to get rid of all the red dots on everything, just so I know where I've been and where I haven't been. There's nothing different here on any of these shops. once you level up. You don't get more offers. Although weirdly, I still feel like by transferring over, here's some guild raid rewards for my guild. Guess they are in the strategy phase. I could declare I'm going to attack this, which I don't think actually means anything. What you do have with the guild, once you unlock it, is the ability to reap, which in reaping, it just redoes the amount of damage you've done before. And this special event has the total damage reset each day. So if I do this and reap, I'll do 544 million damage, which that is a little bit easier than doing this. You can see I have a team here of equally 304 level characters. That is because of the level link,
You have to handle flowers
which is
with care.
way higher than being at 40. Some of these settings clearly didn't cross over though, as far as the speed up. So yeah, you will have to
We haven't lost yet.
reset some things if you moved over from a cell phone to this. But yeah, I don't know why you'd really want to do this other than maybe you just want it on a bigger screen. It seems like it would be weird to play this game on a PC in a less mobile format. Maybe if you were on a computer, but also since this is an idle game and I'm literally sitting here not touching any keys, it does feel very much like that is a waste. My team now with higher levels does a lot more damage and has a lot more skills and a lot more synergy. That being said, nothing on my team had changed, so the amount of damage I dealt was exactly the same. And it doesn't really give you a massive increase in rewards here. Slightly higher level rewards, level 180 armor, for instance. But yeah. And the game knows it, so that's where things like reaping come into play. It's just the game knows you want to get through all of this just to get the rewards. Apparently this refreshes in an hour. And we've got some new Prayer of the Fountains, which on my account this is rank 8, so you can see that this is requiring some higher rarity. Super rare characters. And you have the dispatch all button to just click one button and do it for each screen. I don't know why the dispatch all button doesn't just work for all of them, though. And the amount of rewards you get is not particularly too different. This space-time level 3, I don't know what level that would really be, if that goes in a level. But you do have, for instance, the Legend League, which you can see, but you can see it also says I'm not participating in the Legends League. And if you were participating in the Legends League, you're going to mostly be going for like this special icon to get points to obtain that. But yeah, you have to be in the top 10,000 players or just highly ranked, and I never really am. You can see that the top characters here on server 14, world 14, have just a massive amount of BP and just a massive win streak because of that. It's not until you get to like 14 or 15 that you start to see a reasonable amount of BP, which, yeah, 300 million there. How many BP do I have? 136 million after playing for a fairly long amount of time. A lot more characters that you can select and set to make things look nice. And I'm just going to continuously go in circles with the missions, and that's not the point of doing this. It's just to play the game. The point is to show off the content that I couldn't show off before. So you have your Battle League, and this is your Battle League, which is frankly almost exactly the same, it feels like, as the Legend League, except for perhaps more reasonable. My current reward zone is rank 71 to 80, although it says I'm rank 343, which will give you a small amount of rewards. All you do here is you set a challenge, then like every other battle here, you just skip, and you particularly in this case are going to lose a lot. If we bring up the ratio here, losing happens fairly commonly. There is a defense here where I'm winning fairly well, but when I go on the attack, I lose fairly often. Defense, you just set up a team here and then set it and forget it.
Leave it to me.
So yeah, as part of your daily quest, you just come in here and do this 5 times, and that is that.
Shall we?
So what's interesting about that though is this is more of an active player versus player. This is a passive player versus player. It's almost, I think, directly connected to each other. This is a passive quest system. This is an active activity. I don't even know what you really call it. Gameplay. Then you have an active Tower of Infinity, which this is what Tower of Infinity becomes. Is you have 1 in the middle, then you unlock the Tower of Azure, Tower of Crimson, Tower of Emerald, and Tower of Amber, which only unlock on specific days. All of them unlock on Sunday, though. And so the goal is to get each of these up to the highest numbers, averaging out. Right now I need to get this up to 200 to get the next reward. But you could only play with Amber characters in your team in the Tower of Amber. And you could only play with Crimson characters in the Tower of Crimson. Same with Azure and Emerald. Tower of Infinity, you can play with whoever you want still. And it's still the same experience 481 floors later. And yeah, I would be shocked, I'd practically have a heart attack if it turned out that it stopped at level 500. And even if it did stop, I think half the players would want the game developer to just add more content. So I don't think the game players really want that. And you can see that the level of difficulty just scales up along with the level of your characters. So I'm fighting level 363 characters here. I'm at 304. Massive numbers, certainly, as far as the attack goes. The main strategy here is Merlin protects Cordy. Cordy has an attack that attacks everybody, and I'm pouring almost 100% of my effort into Cordy as my main attacker to have her be able to break the defenses and the shields of these high-level characters, which can be almost impenetrable, so that she can hit things. Notice how you see this miss show up a lot, and you hear a little squeaky sound effect. That happens a lot. They have very high speed, high evasion. And ideally I would have this be an all green team, but I don't have two other high level awakened green characters. It's better to have these red characters that are just higher unlocked. And then the character in the middle has an effect that makes enemies more likely to take damage, or take more damage. That being said, I can reap with 3 daily challenges here, which will give me 180 equipment, which is really low since all my characters are at 300, but 180 is the highest level of equipment at the red border rarity. This, even in small chunks of 4, is actually more valuable than the items are. So yeah, that's Tower of Infinity. Tower of Crimson, same thing, except for you have to have a different team, which in that case I could sit here and try this and I might actually make some progress, but I have really gotten to the point where I won't even really try until I've gone 5 to 10, maybe 25 to 50 levels higher, because it's only going to get you so far. Although there is the limitation here that if this was leveled up and I could go up 10 more levels, that's the maximum number of levels I can go in a day. So that's something to think about. And right now is not the right time to do Tower of Illusion because the rewards bonus boost is not on. And I don't know what's special that it wants to show me about the party here. But yeah, this one affects things. And see, this is a 4-star limited rare. This is a 3-star. This is a 3-star. I don't have but a 1-star to balance out with a blue to get the bonus. At this point, though, I'm not sure the bonus really matters. On the Temple of Illusions, you have 6 tiers of 6 different difficulties that give you 6 different rewards. This is supposed to be a cooperative thing where, particularly when there's a boost, you would create a team and then 2 other people would join in, or you would join a team and then 3 people would join random. There is no way to play without creating a team, but you can play by your own by just starting the team as it is. The thing about a team, though, is it potentially triples, if not even more, your attacks and damage you're doing, and it has a long scroll bar. I don't know if there's a way to watch a replay on any of these. Let's see. Yeah, the game doesn't seem like it saves or replays. Cannot replay while you're a member of a team. Okay, well then let's do that. Do that. And let's show a replay of what it looks like. So you have your 5 characters, then the next person's 5 characters, or in my case, actually, my 5 characters are at the very bottom. And so it's 15 against 5. Which means you're going to have a decent chance of success. But look at the level on this character. This is a level 574 character, and it took quite a pummeling to defeat it. So yeah, that's what Temple of Illusions look like. And the one thing you really don't want to do is Temple of Illusions. Here we have a 24-hour pile of rewards. So within that, it is just a ton of level 180 weapons and kind of nothing else. Just a little bit of player experience. I guess you still are getting that. A little bit of experience orbs for characters to level up. Some gold, which is useless, and some kindling orbs, which is sometimes useful. In this 23 hours and 17 minutes it's been going, I've won 1,391 battles. That is really just nothing. The quick battle is exactly the same. Ranks me up. At some point you get this bonus, that's probably because of Arcana, and gives me some more rewards. So that's showing off that. Here I'm at 23, 28, and I can not really zoom out. Yeah, wait. Too much? I can zoom out that much, and we can show off just the general layout of the map and how it zigzags quite a bit. When you get to this level, there is perhaps an argument to doing something like a quick challenge and a reap on a lower level if you're looking for specific upgrade material. Like this is a upgrade accessory for level 350. If you need to level up something that is 340, you have to go further back, but there's actually an easier way I will show you to engage with that and do that. So as you progress, you are just zigzagging and zigzagging through this giant map, which it is applaudable to see a game with this much of a map, even though it's not really anything. And here you can see other players where they are. These might be your friends, or these might just be random players that are online at the moment. But you don't actually interact with the players in any way. So now at some point in the story, it's only a slight spoiler to say they start talking about different dimensions and do collabs, or at least imply that they're going to do more collabs in with different games. Which I don't know how this map is really going to play out when you start going to a different dimension, but I'd imagine you just see a portal on the map and continue to go forward. You can see this is huge. But weirdly, you're also going to be zoomed in on all the time, so you're never actually going to see all of this. This is another example, I think, where perhaps too much work was put into the early development of this game, and they realized that it wasn't just really worth it. And that goes all the way back to Fran, where you're the Duke of Fran. So that is level 1-1, Duchy of Fran. Of course, if I just click boss battle, it'll probably jump me back. So this is a Witch of Freelof, number 3, I believe, Armstrong, at 347, so just slightly too high for me to be able to defeat her. And yeah. So that's what playing for a long time does. And here's the country index. I don't know why that is locked specifically behind anything, as far as why you can't see that. And this is player rankings. I don't know why that's specifically useful. And this is just full screen, and in case you want to take a screenshot. So yeah, nothing's really different in chat. Nothing's really different in the guild. The level of items you get are different now. There's quite a lot of them that you'll end up getting, but then you're going to end up just smelting them all, and it's going to still give you a pathetic return of 6 dark versions and a pile of rocks that you can use as currency. While I do have a lot of things here that I'm holding on to, because 8 hours of experience at my level will give me a lot more, it's still really the same things. You get something like this where you can pick one of the three things in case you're short on one specific thing. You get these bags of gems. You get these gems here. But mostly it's the same things I've already shown. You can see massive amount of keys right now. So we can use that. Notice that there is a bulk use button here. I have not figured out how to actually implement it well though, as far as how I would want to use it. And this is one of the rewards you get where you can select either this or this, and this is from the 500 gem pools, which will show that off. And then this is something you have to buy from the store to give you upgrade materials that you unlocks at level 300. There are a few items here that are only useful for a short time. Like this one here is expired, Traces of an Angel. It's like this event currency. I'm just holding on to it for no real reason. But your number one thing is Tree of Life Dew. You want as much of that as possible. You also are going to end up with a ton of upgrade materials, but I will point out this goes from 200 to 240. You need a 220 and possibly a 230 in the middle. So that's where you're going to run into problems when you try to upgrade. When you have a whole bunch of gems, you could manually synthesize something so it is bigger and that just costs gold. Or you can just click synthesize all, and then that's going to use 21 million out of 2.9 billion gold that I have to level it up higher. But these gems actually don't really matter too much. There's only one gem that you should be focusing in on, and I believe it is this one here, PM Defense Break Room. According to my information, this is the only one that really gets used. So you just want as many of these gems as possible to equip. Everything else you're going to end up getting a bunch, but they're going to be fairly low level and they're not going to be very useful. And then here you have some parts to make certain weapons, some of which are custom weapons, where it says like for Reen, which means only the character Reen should really have this weapon. Although stupidly I made this for a Summer's Reverb Cordy, which is different than the regular Cordy. But then you also are just going to have generic things where you can take something like this and end up getting, say, 4 parts of that, which then 4 parts of that can synthesize into one 180 boot. Which then, if we find somebody, we can equip and transfer a 180 boot. Then weirdly, it often is going to have you equip and transfer twice. And you have a lot more once you get up to the 180 max of items. Enhancing here is how you bring it up to 200, which needs 15 more pieces of the boot and a 200 ticket. You can go ahead and say skip it and do 220, which is going to cost you a little bit more. Skip it, do 240. Skip it, do 270. But remember, you only get a bonus if all of the items are at the same level. So if I bring this up to 200, I need to bring up this, 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 and this to 200. Which is not probably what you want. Upgrading, still basically the same thing. You get to a point where it is not just using upgrade material, upgrade water, but it's also using item panacea, will show that. Notice that this one can be upgraded and reforged and augmented and enhanced and ruined. This can be attached. Whereas this one cannot be augmented or reforged. So this is a higher quality item than what you'll get as far as drops. What is reforging? Well, you can re-roll to try and get stats. For this character, dexterity is the only stat you really want, so you could sit here for probably an hour trying to get it up close to 75% or higher. Bulk reforge has been added. Spend 500,000 and then it will give you the best one, the pick. Reforging makes that item way more useful. Augmenting, you add a dark item, often items like this, and it will raise the dark level, which will increase, say, your HP. Or you add a light item and it's going to increase the HP drain. But these light items are actually very expensive, so you wouldn't want to just use it willy-nilly. And that is going to be different effects based on what weapons or armor you have equipped. So again, something like defense break here might be way more valuable than HP or attack going up. Or P defense going up might actually be very useful too. P standing for physical instead of magical. You can get one slot to add a gem for free, and then you add that and that mounts it. But then the next one is going to cost you 20 crystals, and I'm not sure it really improves too much in those cases. So this is the totality of as far as I've gotten with equipment, and I suspect this is probably the totality of where you're going to get with equipment. Let's see, some of my highest characters here in comparison. I'm pouring all my points into upgrading. I've got the dexterity again reforged as high as possible, and if I clicked here and tried to bulk reforge, it would probably warn me away from doing that because that's pretty high. I've got the augment at a very high level with this character, which would increase its attack if I was going to do more of that, and I have it maxed out on defense. And then this is a unique weapon, Jack and Pot for Cordy, which if I can unlock it to limited rarity would unlock another ability, unique. And it is currently part of the Michael set, which I believe is the highest set it can be, but maybe not. So you're really pushing the numbers. To awaken it, I would need to bring it up to the Metatron set, which is going to cost 50 Tree of Life due, which is very, very expensive. Unlikely to get that anytime soon. To enhance it, however, would be to just get a 300 level upgrade material and have 20 parts, which I do hold 20 parts. So you can click here to get upgrade materials, and then you click how to get, and then that will just bring you to where you need to reap, which would, in this case would be 1920 in the main quest mode. I can also just bump this up to like 50, and that's about as many as you're going to need to do. It's just like 50 reaps, and then you just click skip. So it scrolls down really fast and doesn't waste your time. And then and that allows me to bring that up to 300. Which barely even changes it. It's 400,000 more damage. Again, however, by reaping I've gotten some upgrade material. I quickly use that up. But again, you're trying to have everything balanced at 300, so everything else is at 290. So now I've brought that out of being part of the Michael set, and it is now, well, it's still part of the Michael set, but it's level 300. You can also synthesize and increase your runes from this menu. So you're getting a lot of redundant runes in this. And you can see for my main attacker, I've given him lots of speed, because I do think speed is actually fairly useful, but I've heard PM defense really is the only thing you should focus on. But I have certainly experienced in the past having faster speed, just so you actually attack, makes a lot of sense. Go ahead and break up the set and bring everything up that we can to 300. Now that this is 300, there should be a bonus of 4 pieces, where it would have been a bonus of 6 pieces. It says I have 5 actually pieces. And this is all part of the Bow set, which means I actually would have to yeah, I don't know what I'd have to do. I'd have to replace this with probably something like this. To get this is another 550 gems. And there's a lot of room for messing around here, so I'm not going to get too into the weeds there. But yeah, they've also changed the index on this menu, so you can, I guess, sort different ways. It's not what I was really expecting. No, I was expecting to get to the weapons index in that part. And then you unlock a party system, which I've never even really engaged with. It is still pretty much the same. You can lock gear on certain characters if different gear makes some sense. I have 98 characters out of 105, which, yeah, I guess I probably have paid to even get to 105. And the Awaken is pretty much the same, except for now you can return shards to save some space, and you have this Awaken unlock, which this is uniquely connected to all of your accounts if you have different servers in different worlds. No, it's not. I don't know why I thought it was for a second, but no, it is not connected. So you started with this very first character, Ilya. She maxes out generally at, let's see, where is our best Ilya here? She would max out at, I believe, 240, just because she's a super rare instead of a limited rare character, even using leveling. So once per month, you can upgrade one of these 4 starter basic characters so that they can go up to 240, and that might be the maximum they can go to. But because it can go from super rare plus as max rarity to limited rare plus 5, which is the max rarity for all the other characters. It also means you can increase your max pluses, which you have to do so that you can get more levels to use level link in the format that it is here. This is level link version 2. There's a version below this where it's less useful. And so I have paid for slots here to expand, and they are increasingly expensive. And perhaps it's not really necessary to level link all of the characters, but it is nice. So yeah, if I take this Ilya to show you, right now it is at max level 160. It will be able to go up to 240, like this character here. But if I unlink it, it'll drop back down to 1 because it's just sharing levels. And then when you augment it something up a level, these maximum ones at 304 will change to 305. But I am also incredibly short on that experience. Even if I use all of this, which is not really a big problem, I'm going to struggle to get it to level up. Plus you also need crimson currency. So to get to the first version of level link, you only need 5 characters at, I think, level 100, maybe level 200. So you really only need to focus on those first characters. And you want the limited rare characters above everybody else. You want things that can be plus 5 here, plus 5 here. This one's at plus 4. I probably will unlock something if I can get my top 5 characters all at plus 5, but this is approaching end game as far as how it goes. And you don't want to put all of your points into augmenting all the time at once. You want to do it once per day for the daily reward, unless you really need to level up, which I could probably benefit by leveling up. I could probably beat the boss if I could get to level 330. Notice how the top bar here changes based on the tab you're on. That's weird design. Here's your Arcana that I couldn't show you before, and you get certain rewards when you unlock newer, higher levels of rarity. Apparently level LR plus 10. I'm not sure if you actually can get to LR plus 10. They may be future-proofing it in that case. So when you get the characters, you'll get improved stats, and then you can see what the next effects would be. And these are just specific groups of characters, which does once again tell you way too late that you actually do need to collect and keep all the characters and try and level up as many of the characters. Of course, you're going to have a hard time bringing in like this character, the nun character here, to a high rank, because she's just not going to be very prominent as far as somebody that you can get. And some of the characters are used in more groups than others. Merlin is probably a great example of that. And a lot of these groupings have to do with their backstories and their characters, which I'm not showing that, but that is some of the best content in this game is when you're just taking a break from grinding and just reading the stories or having the stories read to you more realistically. Here's the Pope, Elfriede, of the Church of Longinus. Says it right there. I'm not making that up. She has angel wings, which I'm not sure they fully explain that. So eventually in the story you do get to a point where you do defeat the Church of Longinus in their witch hunt, if you can get far enough into this story mode. Yeah, and they definitely are setting themselves up for new content. Arcana adds a little bit of effects, but since it's so passive, you really don't have to pay any attention to it. Okay, so have I shown everything now that there is to show around MementoMori? It has been a long journey, certainly. 6 hours, basically. And I think I've probably shown just about everything, except for let's go through the shops and just show what a higher level shop is going to be like and what you're going to save for. When you get to about level 300, the special cell unlocks. Well, exactly 300, the special cell unlocks and costs 300 gems. Not really worth it. And then you start to get gold purchases, which, since gold is so worthless, buying things always makes sense. You don't even have to really think about it. This event is going on, but the Ticket of Chance and Ticket of Guidance draw is unlocked, where it wasn't on my original account. On the new account I was playing before, which I've totally deleted that, like by loading in this account. Generally speaking, I think you want Tickets of Chance always. You can stockpile them. Maybe Tickets of Guidance if you just have a ton of them. This is the components, pieces to make a custom attack item for Potpourri, if you were going to go that way. A lot of the cost on these things are way too expensive though, and a free-to-play player is just never going to have 750 of that currency. Music tickets often do make sense purchasing, so you can catch up and collect all the music. If you want that, Tree of Life do definitely makes sense to get as much as possible. But shards stop making sense. Upgrade water makes less sense. Upgraded Panacea still does make some sense when you hit level 300. Very little changes on special 300 levels later. Very little changes here other than the fact that you're getting level 180 items. But if I was to buy all of these items, I would then just immediately smelt them to try and get dark items. Every day you're going to have just enough to get 1 or 2 of the holy items, which you'll use to feed into your items. And here is where you get your rune tickets to transfer into runes. And this PM defense break, from what I hear, is what you want. So what you can do is just buy a whole bunch of level 1s of that, in my case 51, and then you can just go to the box and synthesize all to get as high as you possibly can with that. Nothing really changes as far as the character coins. There's nothing really new there. The music is different on this account, by the way. You could get rune tickets with guild coins. I would not. I would save it up for upgrade Panacea, since a lot of these currencies also don't expire. In fact, yeah, pretty much nothing on this otherwise is even worth thinking about. These shops and stores probably could be streamlined quite a bit. And then you have the Grand Battle currency, which is a mess. It really is a mess to just have this many different currencies. And then you have the same Cave of Space-Time things with a slight difference of music tickets and this ticket of guidance, which costs 180,000, which is way too expensive to actually buy unless you've gotten to a point where you don't need any of these specific characters. If you've just maxed out all of these characters, then it makes sense to buy that. You have to be almost completely maxing out the game though. Otherwise it makes a lot more sense to get one of these characters. Music tickets. These kindling orbs are always on sale, but maybe not the worst thing to get. These low level characters though, not really worth getting, and probably not really worth getting these, even though this is fairly cheap stuff. It is definitely going to be an experiment in restraint to not spend your currencies. Here, the Tree of Life Dew is the only thing you really should get. The rest of this is pretty worthless, and that's yet another currency. And then the Legend League currency, since I'm never actually involved in it, I have never earned even a single one of those currencies. The magic crystals here are to purchase pieces of unique weapons, which again you have to be careful that the name is the right name, because Festival Summer parts here for Cordy says Cordy, but this is actually Festival Summer Cordy. The Cordy hot pot and shot or hot and pot weapon is somewhere lower. And some of these icons look very similar, like Angel Howls for Diane. Jack and Pot here for Cordy is here. So no wonder I bought this, it's higher up on the menu. But this Cordy is a different variant that is a red soul, where this is the default Cordy you're going to have that's a green soul. And mostly you're going to not buy any of this until you have your number one character that you're going to focus on, which is probably Cordy or maybe Amalith. Here are some other currencies that I've never collected any on, the relics, and I just don't even know how you get them. I may very well have not been far enough in the game yet. Same is also true for Scarlet Jewel, so there's still like 3 shops at level 300 that you don't really agree with. One trick I will say I like to do is I like to set up my favorites characters as the invoke characters. So Uni here and Palladia, if I set those up here, if I found them, then I would know I already have at least one copy of those characters instead of the possibility of going after something you already have. I will say that being in streamer mode, which I assume I'm still in streamer mode, let me go check that, has not been a big problem.
I was waiting for your return, Your Grace.
Let's see. Whoops. Well, we will see what happens there.
I was waiting for your return, Your Grace.
There literally would only be one song that was playing during that whole time, though. So I wanted to change the characters here a little bit to get some different songs.
Master! Welcome
Welcome home.
Here you have a cat girl character, but you don't get a lot of those.
Hello, my prince.
Thanks for waiting, my lord. Welcome home, master.
So
My head is spinning round and round.
I wanted this song to potentially play, see if it would play. Okay. So we're almost done on this extremely long journey. So yeah, the PM defense here gets bumped up to a level 4 and a level 8. But yeah, I did want to show off. Well, we can do a draw. The Prayer of Friendships. We can show off. It's the same thing. It's just lower quality drops. It's the same church background. Just like lower quality characters. But it's just free for being friends. And then you have what you really should save up for, if you can, and not spend any gems until you get to this point. Play the game for weeks, months even, without spending any gems till you get to the Invocation of Chance. Because this is where it is the chance of winning 30,000 gems, which that can certainly make your day. I think I've won it maybe once or twice, and it's not going to save you in the long run because the drop rates are still particularly low, but I believe the drop rates are slightly better, 2.17% chance on that versus 1.37% chance on that. So when you get to a point where you really don't need new characters, that is way better. Plus, you get to pick what character you're going to get. So if you need a specific duplicate of any character you already have, you just get to pick it. Or if it's one of the limited new characters that are available, you can pick that and set that. So this is the only character I will get through draws. Otherwise, what you're going to get is rewards like this, plus a bonus reward, which is more than you'll get normally.
With my words, I can change the world. Words of sincerity are as good as any miracle. They can shine light into a broken heart, just like how my teacher's words saved me. This time, it's my turn to be someone's light.
So that is basically going to be the perfect way to end this episode. I'm getting really lucky there. There is a weird yellowness, certainly, in having a deer in the background with this character. Usually all the other characters have a lot more color. So that is like the newest thing. So I could continue to evoke this, but it would be kind of dumb because all I really want is one copy of this character until I figure out that maybe I need multiple copies of a Amber character. That would be kind of dumb. So you can instead say, hey, maybe get this character instead, Uni. But yeah, that was incredibly lucky. Where otherwise, you have a limited selection on guidance characters, which getting copies of these might be useful. These are going to be older, but still kind of limited rare. The Nun in particular might be a good choice, and these change fairly frequently. Then you have this whole gear system where Invocation of the Sinful, you can do that for 5 times one day, every day. Then it costs gold, diamonds instead of gold. Holy always cost money unless you get a ticket, which is different tickets for everything, just more currencies. Forbidden, so this is like the lowest level equipment, second lowest, third lowest. Then this is where you potentially are going to get higher. And I guess if you get relics, you can trade relics. If you actually ever get relics. I've never actually gotten a relic in this. Also, I'm not putting any gems into any of this. And then this gives you magic crystals as its best item. So it's just more things you will do. So since I just got Potpourri, I am in a bad situation because you would want to throw her into your level link and level her up because you'll get a reward for that. Let's see, this is not unlocked at the moment. So if I'm going to like remove this one, it won't help me because there's a cooldown of 24 hours. The only thing I could do is figure out how to get 2,000 gems and spend it to upgrade the slots. When you level up, the slots will upgrade, but only a little bit. Here we can show off getting that to the max purple for a moment. Really, I'm just playing the game more than showing off anything at this point. Because we have Potpourri, that has unlocked the super rare level of this Arcana. Character level crit is the character level times 30 as a bonus. And then the next thing would be to bring this up, get copies of this, and then that would get to the next effect, which would be ultra rare. But yeah, that's not gonna happen. Can go ahead and lock this character so we don't lose it, although it's almost impossible to lose the first copy of a character. But I don't even have any equipment to put on it at level 1. But because I got Potpourri, the reward here will give me this free reward of a auto battle buff, which isn't much. And because I brought the Arcana level up, I'll get some rewards here. And we can put that there, which will require more downloading.
Hello, Mr. Duke.
So this is where you get to hear the actual song, not just clips, which is all you hear in the invoke spot. Is there anything else that I can really show off though? No, I don't think there is. Because it's not in my level link, I wouldn't be able to see all of the story, which I'm pretty bad about looking at the stories anyways. There are many characters here I will show off. I have the ones in gray. I don't have on this account. If my two accounts got merged, I'd have a lot more of these. Like I have these two characters and probably that, and I think that on the other account. In fact, I may have almost all of the characters. But all the ones with red dots here have stories that I still have yet to read. That's, I think, a different Shizu than what we see below. So yeah, there's a lot of characters. This is perhaps the most actual bikini outfit. There was a summer event for one character. Whereas generally here's more of a midsummer type outfit you would expect. Yeah, all the super rares and super rare pluses you're gonna have. Yeah, and here's the normal rarity Shizu. So it's weird that a few of the characters do have the multiple versions of themselves that you can collect, but that's kind of common also in the gacha genre of games. Here's Potpourri, which we just got. Let's see. I don't think anything else really we could show off. We could show off the audio.
Welcome back.
A lot of these are locked behind certain levels.
Hope you've been well.
Yeah. And this would just bring you to Arcana that it's involved with. And this is where you could get the unique weapon, which would make a lot of sense. Here you can see the levels, which weirdly, even at level 1, it seems like they're already up to level 3. This is probably some other Arcana. Also says this one is at level 240 of 240, and it's not. Interesting, the game may be a little glitched there. And they call the songs laments, which makes a lot of sense, since they're usually somewhat negative. Okay, so the last thing I want to show before we end this two-part insanely long quick look would be the music player, which you can't show in streamer mode. I am unsurprised with that. So if I was going to use this game as background music, I just don't think it's going to work particularly well. You'd have up to 5 songs by selecting 5 of your favorite characters here, and these characters have special music video versions of their songs. The rest of them do not. The newer characters do not. Which tells the story and sings parts of the song, so it's basically remixes of the songs. Have I shown everything in the game at this point? It's a massive amount, obviously. It's overwhelming, it's a lot of strategy. It's something you play because you want to keep yourself busy and not bored, and is just kind of a mindless, well, not really mindless, but it's a grindy thing that you want to stick with. It is definitely doing a New York Times crossword puzzle type experience, not playing tic-tac-toe, one bit taking a lot more time than the other. But yeah, the idea of using this background music I don't think works for me. I do like that streamer mode seemingly is not stopping any of the music from playing, or most of the music from playing. Of course, I may find out that the Content ID system still claims these videos, and hopefully I don't get a copyright strike, fingers crossed. But yeah, the only thing I could think is if maybe my phone was broken, having this on Steam makes some sense. or playing it on a Steam Deck might make some sense, as far as Steam Deck now does open up that realm of possibility that portable gaming is a real thing instead of gaming laptops being really the only option there. Eventually you do get to characters like this that has been fully awakened and they're just at the +5 limited rarity. Eventually the game may expand and you might have a +6 limited rarity that you can have, but at the moment it's very happy to say these characters are maxed out, and once I get several other characters, 3 more characters maxed out, I wouldn't be surprised if something new unlocks. Total battle power here, 772 million. That's not the same battle power that's being shown here. Interesting. Maybe that's total attack, since it does have a sword next to it. The onboarding process and jumping into the game, though, I think is way too long. And then if you have more than one account, playing the dailies is way too long. And yeah, on this account I've somehow become the chief of this team of 4. This guild. I probably should leave the guild and try a different one, really. I never asked for that. It didn't really tell me that. But also it's an older server, so I don't know how many people really are even playing. Okay, well, I guess it would be kind of silly to do something like this
Needs your power. Come on, let's go.
and go full circle back to that first song that you hear on the main menu very quickly. And the words that you get on this song in particular don't make the most sense because they're being translated from Japanese. A lot of the words don't make sense. Yeah, I'm delaying this way too long. There is nothing more to say. This is what MementoMori is. This is what MementoMori will get you if you stick with it as a free-to-play player for 2 to 3 years of gameplay. It's lovely in the music. If you like the anime, kawaii, moe style characters, I would say it's more kawaii than moe. The difference there being kawaii characters look a little bit taller, a little bit more anatomically accurate as far as the length of their arms and their necks and their heads, at least on a scale of anime girls and characters goes. I don't particularly love the brown pastel color palette, but it is something that stands out and is unique. And in fairness, there really isn't a lot of competition out there. There's just way too many other mobile games that are way too greedy, or they are way too limited in content, so it swings one way or the other. The greedy ones tend to have a lot of content available for purchase, but not really available for free. There is definitely a reason why MementoMori is not in the top 10 mobile games, because it's not so greedy. But then there are also pretty much completely abandoned garbage games that get put out and then never get any new updates. And without those monthly updates, without those new characters, there's just not a highly intelligent reason why you would want to play them. But I do like MementoMori. That being said, I liked Destiny Child from Shift Up, the Korean company, a lot better. And I definitely mourned that that game was shut down and that it didn't have a proper ending at all. And there is some rumors out there that something with the Destiny Child game might be rebooted and remade, which you don't see gacha games tending to get reboots and remakes. Not nearly often enough, in my opinion, of the few gacha games. But you also are getting into the genre of, yes, this is a gacha game. And if you don't know what a gacha game is, it's going to be weird. And if you don't like gacha games, you're not going to like it, obviously. So that is going to be the end of a 2-episode, world's longest quick look on a game. Check it out if you're interested. Play now, play early, play on the latest servers, and you'll have a better experience overall. This game, I would imagine, has at least a good year in it before you'd even start to think that maybe it would shut down. And it may be around for 10 years plus. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.